I see that you've been at the forefront of trying to help different countries address these transnational challenges. I think Korea was one of the first countries where, in I think middle of March, you sent 2 plane loads of assistance to the country. I think China is recently doing that, and the EU countries are also trying to help address it. So what we encounter in one, we encounter in all. So thank you for that elaboration, Excellency. Again, you're a very avid writer. I've read many of your articles. And in one of the articles, I've read that you wrote about the fight against COVID-19 can promote unity and peace. Now that's very catching, especially in a country where we are working towards achieving a lasting peace, where in the country where we've had over 60 years of internal conflict. So when you wrote that, can you elaborate on the thoughts that push you to share that very insightful sentiment?
Okay, thank you for referring to my humble article. We do believe the fighting against COVID-19 can also promote the unity and solidarity in our society. Because let me give you an example. What's happening in Korea as a civic campaign is, we call it the rent reduction campaign, or you may call it the good landlord campaign, which is seeking the landlord voluntarily lowering the rent for the small medium businesses. It's spreading like the wildfire.
There has been positive response to that call?
Exactly. So people start benchmarking voluntarily. So it is the way of showing how the fighting together, against collective, coronavirus, serves in a way, promoting unity and the solidarity. It increases the sense of community, sense of sharing and the giving. And it also can serve as a catalyst for peace as well. It is exactly the Korean government is trying to achieve. Korea and Myanmar has a lot in common, historically, emotionally. But as I see, the one striking resemblance is also that we both countries are trying to achieve greater peace, durable, lasting peace. And we at the start of the outbreak of Corona-19, we offered helping hand, technical assistance to North Korea in fighting against, in controlling the disease. We haven't, heard back yet, but we do hope, and we keep our fingers crossed, because what happened in 2018. We, managed to turn Pyeongchang Winter Olympics into a, the great catalyst for peace, greater peace.
Yes.
That triggered the chain effect, and we saw, the fundamental transformation, in terms of peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. So by offering technical assistance and other forms of the cooperation, we do believe it can serve as a catalyst for the inter-Korean dialogue and cooperation in broader terms. So this may apply to Myanmar, because in many parts of the country, Myanmar is a big country. In many parts of the country, you have the serious problem, the disputes with EAOs, ethnic armed organizations. And when it comes to EAOs, the stark reality is they are ill prepared to fight against the new coronavirus. So, in my humble opinion, you can consider using the health sector cooperation as a catalyst in bringing the stalled the peace process forward.
Absolutely right, because it's usually the common enemy that brings us together. And here we have COVID-19 as a common enemy.
Exactly.
That doesn't
exactly.
recognize that this is a government-controlled
border,
area, or
yes.
this is a
Indeed,
non-government-controlled
indeed.
area. So I think that is a huge takeaway. Thank you, Excellency. Now I have, many people or many foreign investors, because of the uncertainty, because of the toll that has taken on many sectors like the garment industries and other service industries like tourism. Many businesses have had to either temporarily shut down or otherwise. Again, I quote you that you have, you have mentioned, I think, in a different to a different media outlet that Korea will do its best to push forward with the continued business engagement with Myanmar. But at this time, how realistic is that? How realistic? So how is COVID-19 impacting Korean businesses and companies in Myanmar?
Thank you for asking that. As you said, actually, the uncertainty is the worst enemy of economy, I think. And you mentioned about the garment industry, the classic example of the CMP industry, cut, make, and package. It's very timely because I met the representatives of Korean-owned garment factories a few days ago. They are deeply, deeply concerned about this situation, unprecedented challenge persisting for a longer, period. And but I must say, they are willing to tighten belt and share burden. They don't want to, lay off their family members, workers, young, people.
Yes.
But the longer it goes, the greater the risk, is posed. So what I keep saying to the government side is,
to the Myanmar government side?
Yes, indeed, is the Myanmar government should consider proactively before it's too late, the providing the incentives and stimulus package for foreign garment sector as well. And you said another important point. Korea, many business people in Korea sees the Myanmar as a last frontier market. They see Myanmar as a very attractive investment destination. So last 2 years since my arrival here, I was very, very encouraged to see growing number of investors, businessmen coming to Myanmar to see the ground situation with their own eyes. And there are many, the programs going on, and I'm afraid to say this Corona situation will affect one way or another. But from the embassy's the standpoint, we trying our best to minimize the negative fallouts.
Thank you. One last question is, I understand that you've also risen from a very agricultural-based economy to where you are now. One of the top 10 economies in the world, really. So in that process, and as you see that Myanmar is the last frontier where invest in terms of investment, the skills transferred. To what extent is skill transferred a focus of your investment?
That's a good question. One of the MOUs we signed during our president's visit last year was the MOU on strengthening the vocational education. And what we are currently doing is to build a brand new TTTI, Tibet Teachers Training Institute, which is the brand new, and its focus are in the very skilled side of the business, the industry, automobile, electricity, and the engineering, those the high tech side of businesses. I recall the state councilor in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, in Singapore, Hanoi, World Economic Forum of ASEAN. She highlighted the immense potential Myanmar can offer, because if you look back the decade before, the Myanmar leapfrogged from handheld the phone to 4G the network. That shows the how you can make a leapfrog.
These vocational and other technical institutes are absolutely critical. But can the graduates of these institutes, how much are jobs guaranteed? Because sometimes we have very qualified and skilled workers, but the industry doesn't have the capacity to absorb. So would you see that the Koreans are helping with the capacity strengthening, but are they also linking up with the market?
Yes. At the very strong request from the State Council last year to our president, our government decided to increase the quota of EPS, the employment permit system.
Right.
It's a system of sending the workers to Korea to let them learn skills and coming back to Myanmar as skilled workers. Last year, the quota was 1,000. We selected the 1,000 workers only. This year, the quota has risen sevenfold, 7,000. It's a big news for the Myanmar government and Myanmar workers. And the question you posed is very, very relevant one. When they come back to Myanmar, there should be enough places they can use their skills, manufacturing and construction and agricultural aspects. What we have in mind to utilize those skilled Myanmar workers coming back from Korea is one of the three big ticket items.
Right.
We have a KMIC, Korea Myanmar Industrial Complex, 20-something kilometers north from in Daegu. When we set up the industrial complex and when it's ready, up and running, we will also have the training school there. So the basic idea is when the skilled workers coming back from Korea, they will have the retraining for few weeks and months. Then they will be employed at the companies, factories in the industrial complex. So I think it's a win-win solution.
Thank you, Excellency. It has been a very encouraging interview that I've had with you. I hope this will not be the last time.
Absolutely not.
No,
Yes.
right? Thank you so much for
Thank you for having
your time.
me.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank
Can't
you very
shake
much.
hands, so thank you.